what's up, guys? Did someone dive back in his YouTube channel? So right now it's like 3 a.m. for me. Uh, I'm tired as heck. Like I dead ass just like got off. I dead ass just got off of work. So I'm just recording this devlog real quick. Well, I probably can record it real quick. I mean, cause I do have like a bit to talk about. So what I've been doing this past week, right? Well, the week just started. I'm tripping, but okay. So I've been able to get on studio Thursday. Well, yeah, I've been able to get on studio Thursday, and practically for the whole day on Thursday, and then practically for the whole day for Friday as well. I did do something pretty significant, right? So I still been working on cache pathfinding, right? So there's like 3 things I've been tackling right now, right? Well, actually, let me talk about one of the biggest issues. No, actually, let me talk about the 3 biggest things I've been tackling, right? So, well, I guess I should talk about. Okay, I should talk about how significant cache pathfinding is real quick, right? Because it's pretty significant. It's pretty significant that this should be added because Roblox they dead ass like messed up the pathfinding service. Like they touched it up in like a really bad way, right? So with the updates they have done to pathfinding service, right? So from what I've been tinkering around, right, is they messed up like so NPCs have a hard time currently have a hard time pathfinding just under stuff and like inside of buildings, right? And another thing too, NPCs like had when they changed the pathfinding system, right? The pathfinding service, the NPCs they can easily throttle, right? And when I say throttle, I mean like they can easily get overclocked, if that's a good word to say, right? I think in main game they should be able to handle it because the maximum population limit is like 70, right? You know, it could potentially reach 100 because of like the human NPCs and whatnot, right? But you know, in the Morty, population can reach up to like 125. You know, actually technically it can reach up to 150 if it's like fully populated with humans, summons, boss summons really too. And then, max population for both teams is like 50-50, you know what I mean? Beforehand, before they really touched up the service, right? The game was able to handle that. Physics wise, that's a different story. Sometimes it can, you know what I mean? But pathfinding wise is able to handle that. But now, it seems to throttle pretty quickly, right? And in a throttle, the main issue with the throttling is when too many NPCs at once are trying to pathfind, right? That's what I kind of noticed. And I noticed it starts to get really bad when it's like 30 or 40 NPCs are pathfinding at once, right? And typically speaking, like, it don't take NPCs that long to pathfind, but when a lot of them are trying to do it, like the pathfinding gets slower over time, right? Or it starts to throttle. It starts to throttle when, cause like let's say there's like let's say if it takes like a pathfinding like a half second to do, right? Now if there's 2 NPCs doing it, it might take like 0.66 seconds or whatnot, right? And then like there's like 5, and then it takes like 2 seconds, right? But basically what I'm saying is that when more NPCs are pathfinding and they aren't given time to finish the pathfinding, then the other pathfindings can take longer, right? So with that in mind, right, this throttling is an issue that affects the morning in particular, because there's so many NPCs like pathfinding and whatnot, right? And you know, NvZ2 is like the NPCs in NvZ2 kind of pathfind like a lot, right? Which was fine, you know, before the pathfinding service update that Roblox did. So I've been tackling on doing cache pathfinding, and I did some pretty significant as of right now. I did some pretty significant advancements on that, right? So also look, let me talk about my sickness before going beforehand. As for my sickness, I've been feeling a lot better. I've actually been crushing at work, even though they just been throwing me in straight hell with this with these new requests they've been putting in. But I've been, you know, I've been having a lot of energy and whatnot. You know, just my throat just hurts like shit. You feel me? Like, I mean, my throat don't hurt, but it just feels like it feels like I got a cut in my throat. Like it just hurts like shit every time I like scrape the back of my throat. Pause. But yeah. So, anyways, back to what I was saying, right? So I've been tackling three things in cache pathfinding, right? Which I'm really proud of. They definitely do need they definitely do need to be tinkered on a lot more, which I'll talk about more. But the three things I've been tackling or tackling on in the cache pathfinding is well, tackling is not a good word. Well, let me talk about three things I added, I guess. So the first thing I've added is a thing called, I like to call it Pathfind linking, right? So basically what this happens is I should have a visual on this because I've been recording my studio time, right? But basically what's going on is that when there's multiple NPCs nearby that are pathfinding, right? And so when there's multiple NPCs nearby that are pathfinding, right? And let's say there's like 10 NPCs nearby each other, right? If that NPC is pathfinding to a similar position or some type of logic like that, then other NPCs can kind of like just like take a what do you call it, like a piggyback ride on their pathfinding, right? And they can just literally just borrow and wait on them to generate their pathfinding, so that way that can reduce throttling, right? So that's one way I've been tackling the pathfinding, right? That's something brand new that I did on Thursday or Friday, somewhere between there, and it works pretty good and it works pretty well, and it really does help tone down the throttling, right? Another thing I've been adding on the cache pathfinding is the I've been updating the I don't even know what this called is, right? So I did tweaks on the I guess I don't even know what to call this. I guess I'm gonna call it the path simplifier or the path borrowing simplifier, right? So NPCs when they call in the cache pathfinds, right? Because once an NPC makes a pathfind or creates a pathfindable path, they save that path into what I call a cachely list of paths, right? And originally, when I first tackled on cache pathfinding, I made it where they will expire over time, right? But I decided to handle this differently, right? And I made it where they don't expire at all unless there are a couple conditions that occur, right? This can either be one condition can be if a pathfind is like unusable, like let's say if an NPC gets stuck, or another thing I'm gonna try adding too is a blocked. If an NPC not NPC, if a path, because I think paths on their own have a blocked signal. So I'm gonna see if I can use that for like if like a hard structure, if a hard structure is in a way, right? Then I can also probably I don't know if it's possible. I'll have to look at it again, but I'm gonna see if I can signal that to the pathfinding, right? And then because like I want to use that like in case like leaders move their buildings and whatnot, and if that's not possible, then I probably has to do like some type of like manual scanning. I don't know if that's a good idea or not a good idea. I don't know if I can do that optimally, but I'm gonna try either or. You know, just experiment and whatnot. But back to the to the path simplifier thingy, right? So how this works is really awesome. I'm really proud of this. I'm still working on making this more accurate. But basically how this works is that when the NPC gets his path right, basically what I basically been trying to do is so when the NPC puts a path in a pathfinding, right, one of the biggest obstacles that the NPC has to find out is what's the optimal path they can take, right? What they can borrow, right? And how they can really basically I've been figuring out how they can take a percentage of that path where they will take that path, right, and try to cut it where they're basically starting, you know, standing at. And I want them to find a path where their imposition ends up where they are assigned that, or even if it's like a little bit like off a little bit, as long as that imposition ends up where they want to be at, and they can like see their imposition to their end goal, then that's basically how that's basically how it works, right? And it works really well. I even did like a live stream of how the math on it works. Well, not the math, but how the logic of it works. Gosh damn, I'm tired of this shit. I hope this is recording. But I do have like some footage of it in action. It works insanely well. Like I'm really like proud of how well this works. And like the main thing I've been the main quirk, or I guess the best accomplishments this does is that it really prevents like NPCs from like backtracking when they use like borrowed paths, which is like really awesome. Like I really am proud of this. There's definitely some issues with this though, but like I said, I'll talk about the issues on later. The third thing I've been working on the cache pathfinding is the is that what's really awesome about what I got going on is, okay, so the third part is the third thing I've been working on in the cache pathfinding is the I'm gonna just call this simultaneously screw it, I'm gonna say a different word. The oh my gosh, I cannot talk. But I'm gonna call this the multitasking. Yeah, I'm gonna call it the multitasking aspect of it. So one thing that's really cool about the cache pathfinding, right, is that I've been able to like allow NPCs to like generate paths while they can do cache pathfinding, right? So it makes the pathfinding, because like a lot of times the pathfinding servers can be slow, but with these cache pathfinding methods that I got going on, right, I can allow NPCs to be more responsive, even though if they take like a long time generating paths, right? You know what I mean? So like for example, if throttle does still happen, NPCs won't freeze up, like for the most part, right? Like at least they won't freeze up pathfinding, right? Now, like I said, there is some issues which I will go into in a second, but basically what I got going on is that I allow NPCs to like excuse me. NPCs to like be able to like generate paths, right? Which if they're able to, which I do give them like a little bit of like some wiggle wait time, right? But basically, I'm bad, y'all. Basically, they can NPCs are able to like do what they do, and they can generate paths at the same time. While if there's some cache pathfinds available, they can still borrow a path, right? And while their path is still generating, right? Uh, it can be queued, which if there's other NPCs waiting on that NPC, right? They can also either wait, or they can also, well, actually, if the NPC is waiting for another NPC to make a path line, they actually don't do any side tracking, which I'm gonna leave that alone for now. But I'm gonna those off. But it's really cool. Basically, what I'm just saying is that there's a lot of like there's a lot of stuff going on, even if you know what I mean. So that's the three things I've been working on pathfinding. And then of course, it's still not finished. I still really gotta like make sure that, because there's like giants, tanks and whatnot. I gotta make sure that there's like subgroups, because as of right now, all the paths are shareable between each other for the most part. I do gotta look into like making like groups, because like obviously if an NPC want to, like an infantry should be able to borrow the pass from a giant if they really have to. You know what I mean? It's not like giants take like crazy routes for the most part. But I gotta make sure. I gotta make sure that giants don't take, infantry, or you know what I mean. Like I gotta differentiate. I can't even talk. Oh my gosh, I gotta make sure I gotta differentiate that. But yeah, it's basically it's a huge progress, huge work in progress for sure. But it's really awesome what I got going on right now. So with that in mind, there are some huge issues that I'm still working on. Right, the biggest issues, of course, is cache pathfinding is one of the biggest obstacles that I'm looking into, is the fact that these pathfinds are old. So a lot of times what I know is that NPCs can, like if you put a wall in front of the cache pathfinders, right, then of course they're gonna get stuck in a wall, and you know, which one main issue that oh my gosh, I'm tired. Holy crap. Okay, one main issue that I gotta figure out, right, is a lot of times when an NPC gets stuck, sometimes it doesn't register that it's getting stuck, right? Sometimes it'll hit a wall and be like, oh, I just need to walk back, which I just need to be able to like logically tell the NPC that when it gets stuck that it needs to like get it together and whatnot, right? Another issue I've been noticing is sometimes, I don't know, this is like also a Roblox thing, but sometimes the paths it just be dumb, right? Which I just need to figure out what constitutes as a dumb path, right? Because I don't know what's going on, because like sometimes it can't be me, because like I'm literally telling the NPC only use a path if the path literally just goes to the target position. So I don't know what's going on there. I'll post a clip if I can. And then of course another thing too, sometimes the simplifier, like clearly like the path that the NPC is using, right? Like sometimes it will like hmm yeah, sometimes the simplifier, right? Like the simplifier will know that the path will try to go through a wall, but like sometimes it will still keep on doing it for some reason. So um like I said, there's a lot of work. Um and also like I gotta keep in mind that when I'm using cache pathfinds, I gotta be mindful of like because like the environments can change, right? Like for example on site, right? You got statues falling over, the portal blows up. I gotta make sure that those update the cache pathfinds, right? Like for example, um one hard thing about the cache pathfinds, right, is that if a cache is considered special, like, well, it's easier for portals, but if a cache is considered special for like man cannons, I can't tell the cache pathfind that is considered special until the NPC takes that pathfinding, right? So there's a little bit some issues there, but I really just gotta figure out how, for example, like if a statue falls over, how can I look through all the caches like optimally and remove the ones where the waypoints go through the through the statues when they fall over, just small stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a lot. It's a lot to consider, but I think the payoff, if I really figure this out, would be like massive, though. You know what I mean? And I really think I can figure it out. But yeah. That's it for this dialogue. Sorry if I'm rambling and whatnot. I really am tired. I ain't even ate nothing all day either. So like, and I have to avoid eating at night. So yeah. But anyways, if you made it to the end of the devlog, thank you for watching. I'm probably gonna head to sleep. I wanted to get on studio, but it was a late night. I think Sundays are just gonna be ass for me for a minute. Probably Wednesdays and Mondays too. But yeah, that's it for the devlog. Um, also, little thing I'm about to work on soon. I'm about to work on a mixtape too. You feel me? It's gonna be crazy, bro. Like it's gonna be crazy, bro. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching.
Turn to ashes outside the walls. I tried, but in the end, it all came to nothing. I couldn't change a thing. I'm merely a bystander.